Welcome to the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast. You are now part of a small underground movement of dent technicians from all over the world. We are on a mission to change our industry with innovation, intelligence, and skill. But because we don't rely on an insurance company to steer customers our way, we need to do things different. We need to do things smarter. We do that through a network of technicians that we call the Tactical Tech Movement. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's up, everybody? John Hiley here with the Tactical Dent Tech Podcast, chilling with your co-host that brings the most, Angela Hiley.
Hey.
Hope you guys are having a wonderful Corona season.
Oh my God. Why did we have to start off with
you know what though?
season?
It's been more along the lines of to be honest with you, for the longest time I had never really given a shit about if it hailed in other areas of the country as much as I do now.
Yeah.
I was always, like a lot of you guys, especially if you mainly work locally, I was always concerned with my area. And it seems like a lot of times I was totally bummed out. I would, pay attention to the weather, and then it just seems like right here where I'm at in Ohio, it would tend to crap out at a certain point.
Yeah.
And I just spent years of disappointment with that. One of the cool things about being on the other side of the spectrum, many of you guys heard on, I think the last several podcasts that we launched, hailads.com. And the interesting thing about being on the other side of the spectrum is now I actually just have it set up inside of my hail mapping system that I use. And I literally just get push notifications all day. I get it on my Apple Watch. So I'm actually able to see when hail's coming through. And I get excited now. Every hailstorm excites me because I know that I get the opportunity to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. And you love it.
That's so true. That's so true.
Love it, love
I think we're
it.
setting up 3 hailstorms this weekend, and we've been running multiple, quite a few hailstorms previous to this weekend. And thanks to all of you that went to the hailads.com, reserved your city. Can't wait. I want this to be one hail of a season.
Ooh, that's so good.
One hail of a season. Fuck Corona season. We're going to turn this into hail season.
Yeah.
Dent guys will stop talking about that shit. We start getting hail starts popping, starts hitting the ground. Let's stop talking about that bullshit. That's the thing. We always have this deal. Like, I'm going to say probably people start getting itchy in December. Dent guys specifically. And I'm talking about over there like on Facebook and mainly Facebook. Fucking Instagram, you don't really...
You don't see any of that stuff over there on Instagram.
Right. Even on Instagram, it's quite ironic. Like, you'll see people share like some kind of hacked up dents, and they'll show like a before and after, and the dent will be, obviously, and it's something that the company would be crucified for on fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
You show that shit on Facebook, you end up being like, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a guy named Jerry Bell back in the day. And he shared a photo that was rippled and waved, and the dude was like literally just like drug through the digital streets of Facebook and beat from an inch of his life for sharing this thing.
Yeah.
And
did they give any type of like recommendations on how he can improve to?
Well, he was combative. That's what that's the problem with that situation.
Oh,
is he was an old timer. And he was combative, so
he was already set in his ways.
Yeah, the moment that you do something like that, and somebody suggests to gives you some sort of pointer or suggestion, and you're telling them to go fuck off, and you're better than all of them, and that's kind of where that went. I understand.
Sometimes it's just best to just look away, scroll down a little bit,
eat a little bit of humble pie.
Come on,
We've all been there.
It's fucking Facebook. Like, yeah. Come on. It's like I get on Facebook and I scroll down and it's like...
That's what I'm saying, though.
Oh, my God. Like, this is so dramatic. Like, every now and then I'll just be scrolling and I'll find something, like, really hilarious or something, like, really good. But, like, when I'm scrolling, I'm like, What the fuck is wrong with people? Why does it have to be so dramatic for?
So Facebook's known for drama, and anywhere between sometime in December to, January, February, March, depending on when the hail season starts to pop off.
Yeah.
You literally get a lot of very bored and pissed off dent technicians over there on Facebook. And they start to get itchy.
They need to find a hobby, or they need to find something else that is like really that is good for them, but for their mental state.
But it's been like this forever. Like since this even before Facebook, there was like Doording.com.
Yeah,
and that's where everybody, like the big wars, like that's where things caught on fire. And what it is, they're looking for entertainment. People ultimately, if you're out there and you're engaging in some sort of trolling or you're fighting with people on the internet, you're probably bored and you're looking for some entertainment. And what happens is eventually the hail starts hitting the ground. Everybody gets busy. Nobody has time for that shit. Mm-hmm. And nobody wants it. So, we got like 8 months out of the year where there's like, there's drama, but not like the type of drama that starts building up, into the year going into, the first 3 months of the year.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I'm looking forward to a prosperous hail season.
Me too. And
a lot of people getting out of that drama mindset and getting back into a mindset that's going to serve them, a lot better. And I've been there. I got to sit here and lie.
I think we've all been there.
You guys have seen me, and especially when I was drinking for a few years, I tend to get a lot more emotional back then. And it was like,
it got worse.
Well, and
it got worse over time.
Yeah, and there's something that I knew. I know this, that literally they actually say that when you drink alcohol, what happens is there's a tipping scale between your emotions and your intellect.
Yeah.
And at some point, when you continue to drink it, your emotions start to override your intellect.
Yes, absolutely.
And I truly believe that's probably got a lot to do with some of the Facebook gnarly little battles that are going on, as people getting in there and drunk posting and then getting into an argument with this guy and that guy and, such and such. I don't have time for that shit anymore. That's one thing that I'm very happy. It's been... Gosh, I've been sober now for about a year and a few months.
Yeah.
And haven't had a drink, and I wouldn't change anything. I mean, many of you guys know that
a year and 3 months.
A year and 3 months, yeah. Many of you guys know that I went quite a long time. I don't remember how many years, but years and years and years without drinking, and then I kind of went on a little 2-year hiatus. Me and the wifey, a little 2 years.
No, we're not saying no. It was
we went on a 2-year bender together.
No, you're the one that had the problem.
Things got a little wild. You guys seen it. I'm not hiding anything.
And people were probably like, "How in the fuck did this woman put up with this man?
I'm not hiding anything.
How did she do it?"
Honestly, that's where probably my dark side, the darkest side of myself, comes from that.
Exactly. You did not have control over that. You did not have control over your dark side. And when you don't have control over your dark side,
and anytime
bad shit's gonna happen.
Yep. And any time that I've ever been in any trouble at all in my life, somehow alcohol was involved. So that being said, I'm personally better without it. I'm not saying that it's not great for some people. We're actually just talking about there's this guy who works down at a grocery store that we go to, and it's a very, very high end grocery store. It's called Dorothy Lane Market. Mm-hmm. We just went there. Some of you guys probably seen some of the photos, or if you're on Instagram and you've seen my latest Instagram, hint, follow John Hiley. So have you seen some of my Instagram peeps out there? You've seen I just posted a steak. That's a prime steak. They fucking cook it there. It's an insane market. They cook the meat right there for you. They've got some of the best seafood. They've got just the best of everything.
It's I will say, like, during this time with all this shit that's going on, this is one grocery store that you can go into, and it's you feel like nothing has changed. There's nothing crazy going on in this world. People are not acting chaotic out in there. Like, you go in this grocery store, and it's like a breath of fresh air. It's
fucking higher end. It's not like walking into Walmart.
No, it's not. But it just makes you feel
normal.
And it's just, it's a great feeling.
So rolling full circle with that, there's a guy who works there at that grocery store named Rodney. And this guy,
super nice guy.
He's probably probably 30 some years old, and he's been a bagger ever since I've known him. And a little backstory about the supermarket. They're like a family ran business.
Yeah.
I know both of the owners. I've worked on both of their vehicles. Calvin, he goes out of his way to talk to me every time I'm in there. Norm, his father, who owns the store, is a little bit grumpier, but he's hilarious.
He has the right to be
individual.
grumpy. He's earned his grumpy status.
But they run like a, I talked to him because I'm like, their employees are all so nice. And I asked Calvin one time, I'm like, how did you hire so many like good people?
Yeah.
And he just said that they treat people like family there. And a lot of people work there for a long time. It's got a great culture. They're a big part of the community. And there's a guy named Rodney who works there, and he's a bagger, and he's like 30 some years old. He's ever since I've been there. I mean, I've been going there for like 10 years. He's always been a bagger, and he literally every day after work gets shit faced there. I mean, fucking shit faced, because they got this area where you can drink wine and you can order beer, and he's just over there getting hammered
but he's like a
evening.
Little social butterfly.
He's a social. He doesn't get hammered like I get hammered.
No, he walks
like I would have lost
down.
my job if I got hammered in there. If I got drunk in there every night, because I would have eventually something would have went wrong.
But alcohol affects people differently.
That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah, he's a social butterfly. He would have a glass of wine in his hand and be walking up and down the aisle, and he would just talk to you, and just.
I mean, and talking about getting shit faced too. I'm not talking about just getting like normal, like, hey,
tipsy.
I just had like a few drinks, head home. I'm talking about like he's in there getting shit faced every night.
Like you drank a bottle of wine
and then
or two.
He walks over to the Mexican restaurant down the street, Elsa's.
Elsa?
Which any of you guys that came up for the Dents for Kids, we took everybody there. And one of the mega media events, we took everybody there.
Yeah, and Corey Fisher took the dress.
Yeah, we had that podcast. Corey Fisher stole the dress off the. I probably shouldn't even say that. Corey Fisher stole it. All right, so.
But I told him to.
Yeah.
He did it.
But anyhow, like long story short,
we mailed that dress to him, so he has that. So if anybody talks to Corey, you need to tell him to like get that dress out and.
Yeah. So they actually make these things called bad wands there.
Yeah. And
these are like fuck you up. I remember Christina from Anson, and Christina, I have very rarely seen her like shit face. Like I've seen her drunk,
Yeah.
but not like straight. Like her and Craig. And I told him, I'm like, they actually say on the menu they only serve you two of them, and it's a margarita, but they fucking just lace that bitch with tequila or whatever else they put in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gets you so fucked up so quick that you don't even understand it, but they'll keep serving them to you there.
Yeah.
They will keep serving them to you there. And I just remember her and Craig.
As long as you're not driving.
They were hammered the first night. Well, I actually had a guy serve me like 6 of them one night, and then at the very he serves me the last one. He's like, "Are you driving?" And I looked at him. I was like, "Oh yeah, I rode my motorcycle here." And Rodney will literally get shit faced at Dorothy Lane Market and then walk down to Elsa's, and get like double shit faced down there.
Yeah,
but he doesn't cause any problems.
No.
He doesn't get into fights, or he doesn't.
He doesn't cause any havoc. He's just having a good time. He's in his own little world.
I get a mean streak in me whenever I'm drinking, I mean,
Yes,
I mean, next thing you know, I envision myself punching people in the face, and I start really kind of getting more aggressive.
And that's not good.
Yeah, that's by nature, guys. What you got to understand about me, by nature, I'm a little bit aggressive anyway, I mean, and I don't even try to do it. Like some people will just be around me and they'll start to feel intimidated. And it was so hilarious because even Mary, Mike's wife, which everybody, she's such a sweetheart. And Mike, he cracks me up too. But Mary actually, she wanted she came up to me to talk to me about something. I don't remember what it was. And she stops herself and goes, "Oh Lord, John Hiley is not intimidating." She's like looking away from me.
I am not
intimidated by John Hiley.
Yeah, by John Hiley.
So I don't try to do that, but I've been like that. I've been like that my whole life, is because I can go from being very, I could literally be having a good time laughing and all this kind of stuff, and then go right into a serious conversation.
Yeah.
And my demeanor could change in a moment, because when it comes to business, I mean, I'm a, you know.
You are a cleaner, sir. You are a straight up cleaner. You ain't no fucking cooler or a closer.
She's talking about didn't we talk about that book before on one of the previous podcasts?
You know what? Listen, I don't really want to. Okay, so there's 3 different types of people. You got your coolers, you got your closers, and you got your cleaners. I can't really go into like a lot of detail, but I mean, I could say, oh, that person is a cooler. No, that person is a closer. No, that person is a cleaner. But I really recommend checking out the book Relentless.
Mm-hmm. I would almost say that if I was to give a definition between a cooler, this has been a while since I read the book myself. She wants me to reread it, of course, or listen to it. But we get a cooler, a closer, and a cleaner.
Yeah.
What I see is somebody who's a cooler really lets their emotions.
They let their emotions take over them instead of
controlling what they want the outcome to be. They let emotions, they let people,
they let everything get in the way.
Things kind of stand in their way, pull them from whim to whim, and they're kind of like a piece of driftwood floating down a river, just hitting a rock here, hitting a
exactly.
They don't have a clear cut path, and they haven't really decided to make a decision to stick to that path. They're kind of just out there drifting, being pulled from emotion to emotion. And that right there would be somebody. And I mean, they can be good employees. They can definitely hold down the type of job. I'm going to call it a job because, a lot of folks in the dent removal industry have a really good job. They can make a ton of money and they can work for themselves. They don't have to have a boss, but they don't necessarily have to be somebody who is like a super crazy good entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So they really just got to know how to manage their time, how to get, whatever leads. They got to figure out a way to do that and then, produce the work. And you know what? It's an easy path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think unless you have another form of mastery in your life, like you have something that you're trying to master. I don't care if it's fucking karate or something. I feel you're always going to have this pull inside of you that it's never fully complete. You never feel fully, you never feel completed with what you're doing when you're drifting from thing to thing.
Yeah.
And if you form mastery around one thing though, you're building the skill sets to form mastery around anything.
Yeah.
It was one of my coaches actually told me that he's okay. He'll actually work with you. He's okay as long as you form mastery around something.
Yeah.
Because usually the same skill sets that you form that mastery around can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
You're just deciding to put that skill set into that one thing. You're not taking it and saying, okay, well, I mastered fucking jujitsu, right? So now I can take the same discipline, the same drive, the same curiosity, the same, indulging myself into this, the same immersion into, all the literature, all the people, all the studies. I could take that and I can apply it into different compartments, different areas of my life, right?
Yeah.
You're just choosing not to. So, in my opinion, that the cooler is somebody who's just kind of driftwood, floating around, being pulled by emotion. They can do really well in some circumstances.
But they also need a lot of encouragement. They
the
need
emotional.
A lot of.
That's where I have problems with certain people because
they need that validation. They need that. They need that constant approval.
Yep.
One person I can honestly think about, because the gentleman that wrote the book, his name's Tim. I forget what his last name is. But he was a coach for a lot of basketball players. He worked with Michael Jordan. He worked with Kobe Bryant. And he worked with Dwayne Wade. He also worked with Charles Barkley as well. And the one person that I can think of that would probably be a cooler that sticks out in my mind from the NBA would be J.R. Smith. Because that dude was like on any basketball team, he was a hot, emotional mess. And then when he was signed with Cleveland, LeBron pretty much got him in check. And anytime that he had his shit together, he had an amazing game. But when he did not have his shit together, it was just like, man, you don't even need to play for the game. Your ass needs to be sitting on the bench.
Right. So, and that's basically what she's saying in real life. That's somebody who just lets the emotions pull them. You wake up and you have a bad day, you can't fucking perform. Okay.
Yeah.
So the second one would be a closer. And
Yeah.
what I think of when I think of a closer is somebody who shows up his 9 to 5, puts in his work during that day, and then but just kind of lives for the weekend or lives for the spare time, the additional time that you would have, more or less like works to get by, doesn't put his life in his work.
They're not, I would say they're not fully living. They're not fully living, like, they're not getting that passion out of their life. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's somewhat like mediocre in a way.
They're halfway there.
Yes.
Like halfway there. It's like the individual who reminds me of a cooler, somebody who's doing well, but he sits back and says something like, oh, well, man, I really wish I could have this, or I wish I could do that. And I recently put out a post that says there's 2 questions that you need to answer that will get you to where you want to go. And the number 1 question is, what do you want? And the second question is, what's holding you back from having it?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 questions. What do you want, and what's holding you back from having it?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody jokingly on that post, in which I thought it was funny and all that, but they were jokingly saying, well, coronavirus is holding me back from the dents that I want to fix, right? You want to fix dents, but the coronavirus is holding me back.
Yeah.
Well, that would be something definitely that the first level, a cooler, would say.
Yeah.
So a cooler would say that. A closer would say, well, maybe I just need to get out here and dibble-dabble a little bit, but let's take a little bit of a break, you know what I mean, and all this. A cleaner would say, I'm going to do whatever the fuck it takes. I'm going to figure it out. Does Amazon have people fixing their trucks? How can I get in there? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? I'm going to immerse myself in this. I'm going to keep pushing myself forward. When something doesn't work, I'm going to come back. I'm going to rearrange my plan because I'm going to be so committed to the outcome. I'm going to be so committed to the outcome that there is nothing that's going to stop me. You know, one of the an individual who this story actually reminds me of the individual who created Honda factory, the actual, no, I'm sorry, Toyota. Or no, wait, it would have been Honda. Okay, the guy who created Honda was literally an individual who, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but I'm going to brief you guys on the story. It's a very impactful story, and it's almost unbelievable that he even got to where he is today based on the circumstances. But the thing was, he made a committed decision. He made a decision regardless that he was going to build this company. And when he first started the company, he was developing certain parts for Toyota. And when he developed and machined these parts, he took them to Toyota and he got laughed at. They literally laughed at him and said his engineering was shit. You're a shit engineer. We don't want your parts, right?
Yeah.
So he goes back to school at an older age, gets laughed at by the people in his classes, okay?
Yeah.
Goes through school, graduates, comes back and puts together all these different ideas and literally engineers a part, and bam, he's in Toyota, okay? Well, that same year, the war broke out. The war broke out where Japan was under attack.
Yeah.
And he literally lost. So they stopped selling cars. He lost his business, completely lost his business, and they didn't have any raw materials to make their parts. So he literally seen that U.S. soldiers were leaving gas cans, and he was calling them presidents from, I think, Mr. Truman. And they were taking these raw parts, and then they started manufacturing stuff and getting these parts and getting these raw parts, and then his factory got bombed. And then they rebuilt his factory. And at that time, he couldn't even get concrete. So they figured out a way to make concrete. They developed a new kind of concrete and laid concrete to build this factory. Got fucking bombed again. Okay?
Wow.
So he's broke, but he didn't give up on his dream.
Yeah.
He didn't give up on his dream. So he ends up finding a motor, right? And attaches it to a bicycle.
Yeah.
And his neighbor seen him driving around this motored bicycle around the neighborhood. And because they couldn't afford cars, gasoline was too expensive, people wanted him to build them.
Yeah.
So he didn't have any money. The country didn't have any money. So what did he do? He wrote a letter to 5,000 fucking bike shops, getting 3,000 of them to front him the money.
Yeah.
To begin building this motorcycle. And the first one that they built was a bust. It was a bus. Like it was too big. It was too big and it was clunky and it didn't work right.
Yeah.
So what did he do? Did he give up? Nope. He went right back at it, and he got his so-called overnight success when it was cresting the Super Cub, which is now a motorcycle today that Honda is known for. Mm-hmm. That was the start of his empire. See, that's a man right there that's a cleaner and is fucking committed. Listen, there's a difference, guys, between being committed to fucking results.
Yes.
Okay? Making a decision, that means that there's no going back. I've talked about this on the previous podcast. It's either you make it or fucking die. One or the other. And until you get that bullshit fear out of your heart, you're always going to be one or the other. You're going to be the closer. Maybe you got a little bit going, or you're going to be, even worse, the cooler, the guy that just gets pulled from whim to whim, thing to thing, right?
Yeah.
And until you step up and you make a decision, all right, one that you can't go back on. You make a real decision. It means to cut off any other. It means to cut off any other option. Mm-hmm. And that's what Honda did. Mm-hmm. And that's an example. I mean, could you imagine going through that? Your fucking place gets bombed. You guys are talking about 30 days being down with the coronavirus. People are looking like they're ready to throw in the fucking towel. When I see that stuff, I'm like, well, that's somebody who I don't want to fuck with. Yeah. Because you ain't even got the wherewithal, number one, to make it through fucking 30 days. I hate to tell a lot of people this, and I may catch some criticism for this, but if you don't have 30 days worth of income to float your business for 30 days, you probably deserve to go out of business. Period. Let's just think about that, guys. What have we been taught in economics? And the bottom line, you personally, if you don't have fucking 30 days, 60 days worth of money to get you through,
yeah.
How many fucking people in your life have told you to save your fucking money your entire life?
And it's really not that hard to start doing it.
That's nobody's fault but yours.
That's true.
But what do you do? What do you do from this situation? You learn from it.
Yes.
Okay? You learn from it. Now you can understand why it's important, because if some serious shit actually hit, if some real serious shit actually hit, and I'm talking about something way worse than this, because guess what? Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, of course it's bad. I feel sorry for anybody who dies from it, things like that. I mean, I feel horrible for the family, for all that kind of stuff. But that's part of life, man. That's part of life, It doesn't fucking matter when it's your time, it's your time. But here's what you got to learn today, guys, is to get your house in order. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be sitting here a year from now, some other bullshit, whatever it is, government panic, whatever it boils down to, some other bullshit comes along, disrupts everybody's life, and I got to be telling you guys again that you didn't save your fucking money. This is why people lose their liberty. This is why people lose their rights, is because people become so desperate because they can't save money past 30 days. And people become so desperate just to pay their bills or to eat or to live that they'll be willing to give up anything.
I know.
In exchange for that.
I know, right?
It's really hard to take the liberties away from a bunch of responsible people.
Yeah.
It's very easy to take them away from irresponsible people because they're at the end of their ropes anyway.
Yeah.
What else do you got to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going to that's what I see as a cleaner, okay? Just like I was talking about Honda there. That's a fucking cleaner. That's somebody who's committed.
If you could think of somebody that would be a closer, because it's not really wrong to be a closer if that's your type of personality. For somebody that's a cleaner, though, there's not a lot. I mean, I'm sure people probably know of someone who is a cleaner, but in all honesty, I really don't know a lot of cleaners besides you, personally. I mean, if you look at basketball or maybe, certain, Donald Trump is definitely a cleaner. Any
whether
person,
you like him or not,
whether
no
you
doubt.
like him or not, in all honesty, any individual that has become has become president. I was getting ready to say, well, Obama would be a cleaner because they got to the highest position possible.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt.
And they did whatever that they had to do. And in that book, Relentless, it talks about, because everybody has a dark side, but the thing is of you having control of that dark side.
Yeah. Something that I heard a while back, and it makes so much sense when it comes to the dark side. Look, man, if you don't have literally your tree cannot reach to the heavens if you don't have roots that are rooted in the deepest fucking level of hell.
Oh, you said that. I love that.
That
is just, say that again. Say it again. Come on. It's so good. It's so good. They want to hear it again. Just say it again.
So as a tree, you're not going to be able to reach heaven at your highest level unless you have the roots that are rooted in the deepest level of hell.
That's so good.
And I mean, that's just the case, guys. And I always say that, you never have to hide your dark side. No. And, it's one of the things where it makes you human, it makes you human, makes you vulnerable. And it's, in all honesty, like she said, you got to be in control of it.
You have to be in control of it.
And there's a lot of people, and in that, specifically in that book, it talks a lot about that, about people who are cleaners who can lose control over a habit like alcohol or some sort of drug, or Tiger Woods would be an example, who lost it over whatever he was doing. That's some crazy shit. I mean, in the book, they talk about him as well as being a cleaner.
Yeah, he talked a lot about Tiger Woods. That was his dark side was. And he kept that. He kept it such a huge, secret, was his sex addiction.
Yeah.
And what, here you seen him in the spotlight, and he was this very well, clean-cut individual. I mean, like, picture perfect family, all this and that. You would never in your wild imagination think that this guy was doing the shit that he was doing. And then all this stuff comes out, this and that. And in the book, the author talks about how it just really got to Tiger Woods, and it was like a downward spiral, for him. He even said that, like, when he did his big apology on national TV, apologizing to everybody, like, even the author said he shouldn't apologize. He should have just owned it.
Yeah.
Owned it.
But yeah, and would it make sense? Like who the fuck is he apologizing to?
I know.
Does he really owe anything to me or you?
No.
Look, he's out there playing fucking golf because we decide to look at him as some sort of family icon fucking dude. He doesn't owe shit to me. He doesn't owe shit to you. No. He doesn't owe shit to his sponsors. He's probably got them all back by now, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure he does.
I mean, the only person he should have been apologizing to is maybe his wife and his family and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't owe us a fucking apology.
No, he didn't.
I mean, there's probably somebody listening to this right now that's got a sex addiction.
Probably so.
I mean, hey, it's what it is.
It is what it is.
That always reminds me of that movie, Blades of Glory, with like Will Ferrell and Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
I think the movie's called Blades of Glory. And
they're ice skaters.
In that, Will Ferrell's a sex addict. And he goes,
oh, he is?
Yeah, and he goes to these sex addict meetings. And the whole meeting is like full of guys and girls in there, talking about how they're sex addicts. Mm-hmm. And the whole time they're getting all horned up while they're talking about it. And literally there's people like there's police afterwards driving through with lights on the bushes going, hey, get out of there, after the sex addiction meeting. Yeah.
Oh, my. My.
I don't even know. Do you think they have sex addiction meetings? Where people go there like...
I think people go to... you know what? That's just me.
But I mean like a meeting, like, hey, hi, I'm John, I'm a sex addict.
No, I think they go and go speak with like a therapist, because there's, in all honesty, when somebody's like that, there's some like major underlying issues that happened to them when they were a child. when they were a kid. I mean, look at R. Kelly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there was a lot of bad shit that happened to him when he was a kid, and unfortunately, he just didn't get the proper help, and his dark side overcame him. See, he had no control over his dark side whatsoever.
Right.
And look where he's at now.
Right.
He's sitting in jail.
Yeah.
Getting ready to go on trial for his hot mess that he created.
Hey, that being said, guys, I'm just telling you right now that we are actually sitting in the new podcasting room. I can't believe I didn't say anything at the beginning of the podcast, but this thing, we built it out. It's been probably a couple weeks in work, right?
Yeah.
A couple weeks.
That looks awesome.
And I had an additional office here at the shop, and it's kind of neat. It's got like a little window actually in the office. So there's a window that you can kind of look out and see outside and into the lobby area. And then there's also a window over here on the other side. We got Hank in here. We've got a back wall done with barnwood. Really cool. I'll have to, throw out some video of this place, but it's,
Maybe we
we're actually sitting across from each other.
know.
We've got the professional mics. Hopefully we sound better. The room actually
Maybe
has,
we should think about doing like
acoustic
a live
foam.
like a live podcast.
Yeah, we should do a
We
live
haven't
podcast.
did one of those in like forever.
And but the room has acoustic foam around it. It's carpeted, and it's also got one of them. I don't really know what the ceiling's made out of, but it's almost like that foam ceiling that you see in offices. Which hopefully it just all of that tying together, we should have the sound on point.
Yeah.
Not going to sound like in our echoey kitchen anymore. Whenever we do it over here.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. So.
So true.
Hey, and just a heads up, guys. I know I talked about this last week, but we do have currently we're running that deal for the $997 for a 5-page website. But what it is, it's actually a landing page, and it's got 4 blogs tied into the website. Mm-hmm. And we actually did this really cool thing where we took the blog articles and converted them into website pages, but also used that other end to build up the blog. It's a really neat setup, a beautiful 5-page website. We do all the copywriting. So we actually, once we get your information, we got a little form that you fill out after you purchase the website. It automatically gets sent to you. Not only does it get emailed to you, but you also land on that page to where you can click the button and fill the form out. And then once you fill that out, how we have this streamlined, it actually shoots directly to my project managers, and immediately they start working on that, meaning they send your information over to my copywriters. My copywriters actually go and read about you, look into your business, look into you. We give them some key things. They get a feel for who you are. And then that starts happening while my project manager starts putting everything together, all the little details, social links, in a process that we call discovery, where they're trying to discover, everything else they need to know about you. Mm-hmm. And at that point, once the copywriter's done, this discovery process is done, we actually hand it over to the builder, and the builder puts it all together, and then boom, we churn out a website. Mm-hmm. This is something that I was obsessed. I actually created what I would like to think of as like a website building machine with my staff, and the people that we have are amazing. We actually almost, I would say 99% of the time when we send a website over to somebody and they say, wow, that looks amazing, they don't even want to make a change on the website.
Awesome.
So they immediately just want to go with it, like when we're finished with it. We got specific, we have all the photos you need. We have all the video you need. We have the copywriting you need. It's like one of them things I like to call like a turnkey package. And until tomorrow night, this should drop tonight, it's Saturday night. Mm-hmm. So tomorrow night, at midnight, we're closing out that sale, and it's only $997. And we're doing this like kind of like a stimulus package to help stimulate your mind, man. We're stimulate your mind, Craig. But we also got a 3-payment option as well. So if you guys want to break it up into 3 payments, we can do that. After that, it's $97 a month. We host it. We have the SSL. We also put you into our groups. We put you into our education system, and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you and Mike do a lot of good stuff. You guys really do.
We just try to be the best at what we do. That's really what it boils down to.
I know.
And not to beat people. Like, I don't do it to like beat this. I don't even, be honest with you, it's so weird. I don't look at what other people are doing.
You're not supposed to.
I look at what people are doing that are way bigger than me, and I try to be like as good as them in my own way.
Even in that book, Relentless, it even says that you shouldn't be in competition with other people. You should be in competition with yourself.
Well, if you're sitting there all day long focusing on who you're in competition with, that's number one. That's an insecurity. That's fear. You're scared. That's why you're doing that. And one of the things that you're scared about, you feel that the supply is limited, that this guy, by this person existing, doing what they're doing, they're stealing something from you.
Yeah.
And living in a sense of scarcity, you will tend to, I don't know what it is, guys, but I know that it works. It's what it is. Whatever you project out, imagine yourself being like an antenna and you're beaming out these signals to the universe. And if you're sitting there going, beaming out this, everything's scarce, there's not enough for everybody.
The energy.
Guess what? You're not only, that's what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it even breaks down to that they talk about our mind is broken down in a specific way to where we literally, our reticular activation system at the base of our neck is like a Google search engine, and it will filter out the things that we're not searching for. It'll only connect you with the things you're searching for.
Yeah.
So if you like walk around in a world and you feel everything's scarce, there's no opportunity, you will literally see a fucking opportunity, but you won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
Because you are so set in your mind that everything is scarce. There is no opportunity. You can't even see the fucking opportunity in front of you because of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't align with your core values. It doesn't align with the deepest level of your thoughts. Mm-hmm. But when you sit there and guess what? It is abundant. You know what? This coronavirus, have you heard me even say anything of the nature of scarcity when this whole thing was going on?
No.
Not at all.
I think
and I haven't
drove
felt
you. You basically took this situation and it just like gave you an extra jolt of you getting out there and
doing more, building more, and what happens
that's
when
another
you
aspect
do that
right there of somebody that's a cleaner.
Well, another aspect of that is opportunity starts to come your way. So when you start living in that, you start seeing opportunity starts to come your way for several reasons, because you open up your mind to accept it. You're looking for it. I'm looking for opportunity all the time, right?
Yes, you are.
The second thing is other people who have opportunity and who can give you opportunity will not align themselves with somebody who thinks in scarcity.
Yeah.
It's like an unhidden language that we talk with energy, know? And I don't give a fuck what it is. You can lie about it. You can hide it. If you're feeling scarce and you're feeling scared inside and you're sitting across the table with somebody and you're having a conversation with them and they're thinking abundance, they're thinking bigger, they're thinking about growing, somehow them two energy signals are going to clash and nothing's going to fucking happen.
Exactly.
Right? You're not going to be working with them. They're not going to be working with you because your two visions of the world do not align. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason why some people think that whole law of attraction shit and all that stuff is like you just sit there and you think optimistic and these things are supposed to be attracted to you. It goes so much fucking deeper than that.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason why you want to have that feeling of increase, that feeling of abundance is because when you get around people, it's what they fucking want and they can see it and they can feel it in you. Mm-hmm. So you breed more. It's like you shining your fucking light on the world. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That shit's going to fucking test you. It always does. And it's so funny because almost every business situation that I've ever been has a dip where you're going, and then all of a sudden it dips down. And it used to be when that dip hit, I would say, oh shit, and I would start hunting, like gathering, right? Gathering. Like, okay, well, I got to get this together. I got to get this together, right? Got to do this, got to do that. But now I know when that dip hits that I'm like, oh, it's time to get ready because it's going to the next level. It always does. And if you talk to almost every successful entrepreneur, all of them felt that dip. And what that is, that's to test your faith. Are you going to go into scarcity? Are you going to go into hunter-gatherer, hunker down type, mentality? Or are you going to fucking, you're going to stand tall, right? Are you going to feel that abundance even when the opposition when it looks exactly opposite. You know, it's going to test your faith. And at that very moment, as soon as I know my faith is about ready to be tested, I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm like, you know what? Because I'm going to ride this
John's
bitch to
all
the next
in.
level. I'm going to ride this bitch to the next level. And I feel it coming and I expect it. And it always works out that way, guys.
It does.
So,
yeah.
you know, what I'm telling you is not like, so I'm not giving you advice. I'm telling you what I live. And I'm also telling you what a lot of other successful people that I put myself around live, you know? Mm-hmm. It's a blueprint. But the crazy thing is it's a blueprint. But the interesting thing, that's why I always laugh when there's like a guru that comes along that says they have the absolute ultimate system that's going to change your life, going to turn you into some, you know, very successful person. Because the truth is every system is uniquely tailored for you. And the bottom line is you can learn things like what I'm telling you right here to you know, live in expectancy, walk in faith, you know, try to push this type of energy out in the world. You can do them things, but you got to find your own algorithm where you perform the best. You got to get to fucking know yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
yeah, you really do.
I mean, I know a dude, I'll say his name, Brian Blankenship, you know, multi-millionaire around here. Amazing guy. Love the dude. I just found out too that he bought a tiger off Tiger Joe.
Yeah.
Back in the day. He even showed pictures of it and all that stuff. It's hilarious. And the tiger's actually in a sanctuary now. But you know, the funniest things. But you know, talking to him, you know, I'll just give you an example. Like everybody talks about like how like early bird gets the worm and all this kind of stuff, right? Brian sleeps all fucking day. Brian's a multi-millionaire. I mean, talking Lamborghinis, fucking, you know, real estate Mongol, sleeps all fucking day long and works all night.
I guess that works for him then.
Well, I think he likes it because there's no interruptions. And his team, he's on it. I mean, think about this. He just says, he goes, my team don't want me around. They think I bug them. I bother them, right? Like I'm gonna go in and bother them during the day, and they're not gonna get as much shit done. So I let my team do what they do.
Yeah.
And then all night long, I'm working.
Yeah.
And then I sleep all fucking day long.
Yeah.
That's an example of somebody who figured himself out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could tell you, hey, you know, Brian, no, that doesn't work for you, multimillionaire. You're supposed to get up early in the morning and then, you know, work all day and then, you know, come back at this time. And no. Man, it's all about finding who you are, finding your own algorithms, finding your own power moments, learning how to capitalize on them moments, you know,
well, yeah,
even little
we're all
shit
unique.
like figuring out like, you know, what do you eat at this time? I mean, there's all kinds of little things that I personally do to try to maximize my daily, you know, and it's an ongoing quest, but I couldn't give you you couldn't use my exact formula because, you know, maybe after you eat at this time, you feel like shit 2 hours later, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's just so many different variables when it comes to that. Ideally, what it comes down to is, you know, self-actualization and digging deep into yourself to the point where you know how to induce that super powerful fucking person, that soul, that spirit that's inside of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True that.
So that being said, I think we rocked out a pretty good podcast tonight.
I know we did, but I want to pull up this book. That way I can give the author, because I really...
It's Tim Grover, isn't it, from Relentless?
I think you are probably right. Yeah.
Tim Grover, Relentless. Check it out, guys.
From good to great to unstoppable, because that's what you want to be. You want to be unstoppable. You don't want to be good. You don't want to be great. You want to be unstoppable.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you got it. We appreciate you for coming along on this Tactical Dent Tech podcast. Your tribe is your vibe. And what do you say?
We will see you on the next one.